with you today. So I was inspired to create this project by a picture I saw on Pinterest where people had been decorating the little pull tabs from soda cans and that sort of thing. Now I didn't have any at the time, so I did start saving them, and it didn't take me long to build up quite a collection. So most of these are from sort of dog food, cat food, tins of tuna, that sort of thing, and they're not all the same. They're a little bit different shapes. Some of them have got sort of more of an oval shaped opening. This one's a bit more round. This has got a larger top opening and a smaller one. And then this little one here is like from the top of a soft drink can, like a can of Coke. So they're all different, but I don't mind that. I think it sort of adds to it. And I've just used some little images in mine, and then I've stamped a number for the top. So I'm going to show you how I've created mine today. So I went ahead and printed one of the vintage image strips. There will be a link in the description box below to this kit, but I printed it to a page so that I could make sure that my faces would fit inside the little opening here on my pull tab. But you could use any kind of small image. So if you've got stamps or images out of a magazine or other digitals, just make sure that they fit within the opening that you have on your pull. So the other thing that I wanted is, I knew that some of these openings were very tiny at the top, and I wanted to be able to coordinate them with my images, and I knew I wasn't going to be using this sort of bottom part of the image on the girls' dresses because I'm just after their faces. So I've gone ahead with, I've just got this little individual stamp set here, and I picked a few random letters and numbers, and I just stamped on the dresses in the sort of whiter open space, and I just randomly stamped several different things. Some of them have got a very small opening, so I used the letter X for that one. And some of the dresses are big enough that you'd be able to stamp a couple of different numbers on them. Alright, so that'll do for now, you get the idea. That way I'm making sure that my stamped piece at the top is cohesive to the piece that I have on the bottom because it's from the same image, so it uses the same sort of tones and that sort of thing. And then all I've done is come in with a pair of scissors, and I've roughly cut, I'll just go with these three for now. I've roughly cut out the tops or the heads of the strips, and then just making sure that I've got enough space. So that one's going to work for that one. That one will work for that one, and something a bit different shape maybe. I'll use that one for her, and yep, so those three. Okay, now sometimes the back where these have been pulled from the can top is a little bit sharp, so I'm just going to squish that down with my pliers. Okay, and I've just got here a piece of scrappy baking paper, and I'm just going to use some black gesso. I've got this Art Basics heavy gesso, and it's very thick because it's been sitting around for a long time, but fortunately it hadn't dried out. And I'm just going to go in with my gesso and coat the back of my ring pull. I'm just roughly dabbing the paint on so that I get a little bit of texture as well. I don't really want it, too smooth. I want it to look a bit old. Okay, once I've got coverage on the back, I'm just going to flip them over. And do the same on the front. Now I'm just going to use a pin to hold my pieces down so I can make sure I've got good coverage of paint on there. So every time I touch it with my finger, I'm pulling some of the paint off. Right, it doesn't have to be perfect because we want it to look a little bit grungy. And I don't have any water out here, so I'm just going to wrap my brush in a baby wipe with some water sprayed on it so I can go in and clean it after I've finished. Just stops the paint drying on my brush. Okay, now while those are still a little bit wet, I want to come in with some embossing powder. So just pop them there. And I've got some Lindy's embossing powder here. It's in a sort of a coppery bronzy colour. And I'm just going to randomly tap into the paint. I don't want to cover the whole thing. I just want a little bit here and there. Then I can take them off. Oops, upside down, Miss Jane. Put the rest of the embossing powder back in its little container. And then I'm just going to heat them with my heat gun, and because the paint is also not dry, it will bubble up and give me more texture. Now that'll be really hot when you first finish heating it, so don't use your fingers. Oops. Hopefully you can see the difference with those two. So this one's got lots more texture on it, and this one I haven't heated the embossing powder yet, so it just looks very matte and flat. So hopefully you can see the texture on there now. So they're still a little bit warm. Okay, so next I want to figure out which image I'm going to use in which ring. So I think this one was for this slightly smaller one. And these two for this one. Now I know the edges of my image are just ever so slightly short, so I'm just going to pop a little bit of ink on the sides. Don't think it matters on this one so much because that ring's a little narrower. Then I'm just going to hold my image underneath my ring where I want to be able to see her face, and basically I'm pinching it between my finger and thumb, and I'm just trimming away the excess. Then I'm use a little bit of art glitter glue. Turn my image over, and then just going to pop my ring over the top, centralise the image. Pretty happy with that. I'm just going to leave that there to dry, and I'll do the same with these two. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to cut out some of these numbers and letters that I've stamped on here. Okay, so pretty much any of those are going to fit. So I might just use this 4, and I'm just trimming it down to roughly just a little bit bigger than the hole. Just double checking. And then I'll attach this with some glitter glue as well. So now I'm just going to come in with my scissors and trim anything extra that seems like it's poking out a bit too far. So at this point, if you wanted to use the resin to cover them, this is where you would add that resin. So I quite actually like them better without the resin. I think they stand out a little bit more. So I won't resin these ones today, or maybe I'll do one just to show you. So I've got this UV resin, so it just heats up, or just sets under an ultraviolet light. And this is just, I think they use them in nail salons. So I've just got a scrap bit of card here, and I'm literally just going to pop the smallest little drip into my space. Oops, too much. And then I use the end of my pin to spread it around. and then basically you just let it set. Under the UV light. Now with these ones that I created, I've used like a little picture hanger on the back here, so that I could use them as a charm or pin them to my projects. And I've actually attached this with the resin as well, because you can use resin like a glue, but you could use like a super glue or something, possibly even art glitter glue, but because it's going to be, you know, dangling, I wanted it to be a bit more secure. So once the resin has cured, it's just a matter of using it on your project however you like. So this one I have just pinned it on with the little hooky thing that we attached at the top, and same with this one. It's just hooked on so it hangs free. But you could also just glue it onto an embellishment. You wouldn't have to pin it on. You could just use some glue to attach. Yep, so that's pretty well set now. Now before I attach the hanger, I have actually gone over and painted the back with black gesso as well. So that just means if it's dangling on your project and it flips over, it looks finished on the back. So just pop one little drip of the resin. And then put my hanger there. And I just use a pin to push it down into the resin and get it where I want it to be. It's already setting because I still had the light on, which was a bit silly. That's okay. And that's our little hanger glued on there now, ready to hang it as a charm. So there we go. I have had fun creating these cute little charms from the tops of the ring pulls. Really quick and easy project to create. Of course you have to save the ring pulls, so that can take a little bit of time to build them up. Don't do what I did and go into your pantry and undo the can and then pull it off before you've actually pulled the lid off, because I was a little bit too eager. Then I had to try to get the can lid off without slicing my fingers, so that was a challenge. But anyway, lots of fun. I will leave a link in the description box below to the kit that I have used, but you could use little stamped images or pictures out of magazines, or cut pictures out of scrapbook paper and that sort of thing as well. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you again next time. Bye.